What is it about Valentino Rossi that made him a legend? Was it the way he rode, or the way he faced legends? Let's dive into the story of the Doctor, the man who turned racing into an art form, inspired generations, and left behind a legacy that even time can't erase. Growing up in Tavullia, Italy, surrounded by hills and tight streets, Rossi had one thing on his mind: turning his dreams into reality. His father, Graziano, was a racer too, so while other kids played with toys, Rossi learned how to ride. At 17, he made his debut in the 125 cubic centimeter World Championship, and not long after, he became world champion. Just like that, the world noticed. He wasn't like any other talented kid, he was someone different. He moved up to the 250cc class next, and just like before, he was unstoppable. In 1999, he won his second world title. Rossi wasn't just fast. Every race win added to something bigger. He wasn't just collecting trophies, he was building a name, a legacy. But here's the thing, dominating the smaller classes is one thing, because that's where you learn, where you sharpen your skills. But the 500cc class, that's a different world. That's where the legends race. That's where things get serious, because the bikes here are faster, and the riders, tougher, and the pressure, way higher. It's the kind of place where many talented riders fail. This is where reputations are made or broken. But Rossi, he didn't just survive, he took over. In 2001, he won the 500cc title with Honda, becoming one of the few riders to win titles in all three classes. And then came the MotoGP era. Bigger bikes, higher stakes, more fans. Most riders struggle when the rules change. New bikes and new technology, it throws everyone off balance. So the question is, would Rossi stay on top with everything changing around him? Was it his skill, or was it the old bike doing most of the work? What do you think would happen when such a big change was brought? While others were still adjusting to the new machines, Rossi made it look easy. He adapted to it like he had been riding them forever. He won the championship in 2002, then did it again in 2003, that too, both with Honda. Back-to-back titles in a completely new era of racing. By this point, he wasn't just another top rider on the grid, he was setting the standard. But if there's one moment that truly sealed Rossi's legacy, it was the decision he made in 2004 when he decided to leave the Honda team. He walked away from the best bike on the grid, a team that had it all figured out. Honda was dominating, and Rossi was winning with them. Everything looked perfect on the outside. So why leave? Well, deep down, Rossi had something to prove. People were starting to say it wasn't him, it was the bike, that anyone could win on that Honda, which he didn't like at all. He wanted to show the world that it wasn't just the machine winning races, it was him. The talent, the instinct, the mindset, it was Rossi who made the difference. So what did he do? He made a move that shocked everyone. He joined Yamaha. Now Yamaha at that time was nowhere near the top. They hadn't won a title in years. It was a huge risk. Most people thought he was throwing away his career. Why would you leave the best for a team that couldn't keep up? But that was Rossi. He believed in himself, more than the stats or the safe choice. And then came the first race of the season, South Africa. All eyes were on him. People were waiting to see if he made a mistake, waiting to say, "I told you so." And then, he proved them all wrong and won. First race on a Yamaha, a remarkable victory. That entire 2004 season, Rossi kept going, win after win. And by the end of it, he had done the impossible. He won the World Championship on a bike that many thought wasn't good enough. Then, just to make sure no one called it luck, he did it again in 2005. Back-to-back titles, that too on two different bikes. At that point, it wasn't just racing, it was history in the making. Now let's talk about his rivalries. Rossi's rivalries weren't just part of his story, they helped define an entire era of MotoGP. Whether it was Sete Gibernau, Max Biaggi, Casey Stoner, or Jorge Lorenzo, every one of those battles brought drama, tension, and moments that fans still talk about today. Rossi didn't just compete against them, he challenged them on every level. He played clever mind games. He smiled at his rivals on the grid, waved at them mid-race, and pulled off bold overtakes in places where others wouldn't even try. Every move he made had purpose, not just to win, but to entertain. And the fans? They couldn't get enough of it. Every time he stepped on the track, it felt like something special was about to happen. People didn't just watch MotoGP, they watched Rossi. He had a way of turning a regular Sunday into a memory fans would carry for life. He gave fans a reason to tune in, even if he wasn't starting on pole or fighting for a title. But as time moved on, even someone like Rossi couldn't hold back the next generation. By the end of the 2000s, he had already achieved what most riders only dream of, which was winning 9 world titles, with the last coming in 2009. But 2010 changed everything. Injuries slowed him down, and younger, hungrier riders began to rise. João Lorenzo was now a serious title threat. Dani Pedrosa was always in the mix, and a young talent named Marc Marquez was preparing to take over. Still, Rossi wasn't ready to let go. In 2011, he made a bold, emotional decision to join Ducati, an Italian hero, on an Italian bike. It felt like the perfect story. The entire country rallied behind him, but the dream didn't last. The bike wasn't a good fit, and Rossi struggled. No wins, multiple crashes, and 2 seasons full of frustration. For the first time in years, the magic seemed gone. But in 2013, Rossi made a comeback, returning to Yamaha, the team where he built his empire. He wasn't the fastest anymore, but he didn't need to be. What mattered was that Rossi was back where he belonged. And even though the victories weren't as frequent, one thing never changed: the love from the fans. They stuck with him even through wins, losses, highs, and heartbreaks. Because Rossi wasn't just about results. He was about spirit, about making MotoGP feel alive. In 2015, Rossi was 36. Most riders slowed down by then. But Rossi? He was leading the championship. He looked sharp, focused, and determined. Fans believed this could be his 10th world title. But at Sepang, everything changed. A dramatic clash with Marc Marquez stirred controversy. Rossi accused Marquez of messing with the title race to help Lorenzo. The penalty? Starting last in the final race at Valencia. Rossi fought like a lion. He tore through the grid, but it wasn't enough. Lorenzo won the title. Rossi finished just 5 points short. That could have been his 10th. Even in defeat, the world stood behind him. Because Rossi wasn't just about titles. He was about moments, connection, and heart. The next few years, fewer wins, younger stars rising. But Rossi still had something no one else did: his aura. He launched the VR46 Academy, mentoring young Italian riders with his same passion and fire. One of them, Pecco Bagnaia, would go on to become world champion. And in 2021, the farewell came. 26 seasons, over 400 races, 115 wins, 9 titles. But even in retirement, Rossi's legacy lives on. In the flags, in the helmets, in every bold overtake. He didn't just race, he changed MotoGP. So yeah, tell us what's your favorite Rossi moment. Was it the South Africa win, the pass on Stoner at Laguna, the battle with Lorenzo, or maybe just the way he celebrated, goofy, joyful, unapologetically Rossi? Drop it in the comments. And if this story took you down memory lane, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around.